Welcome again to Elektro Vox at Infest 2023. I've just seen the incredible Nightmare Frequency and bloody hell. I think that's what Combi Christ wish they sounded like when they turned metal, turned metal. But you know, anyway. So other than my introduction, please tell the audience who you are, what kind of music you do.
I'm Dino from Nightmare Frequency, and we make industrial noise with some synthesizers and stuff.
It's very good noise.
Thank you.
And the three questions that you've asked for me to ask you is, firstly, what's the most important part of creating music for you?
We write it really weird. We capture soundscapes and then build songs on soundscapes. Instead of taking a drum riff and then adding onto that, we take a really savage approach to capturing whatever sounds cool and then turn that into whatever we want it to turn into. So a lot of the tracks are recorded in a single room with a single idea, with that room being the focus, and everything's sort of built around that, rather than writing a traditional song and then mixing it in a certain way. It's a really bizarre way of going about creating music, and it's addictive.
Yeah, the song you ended on about the guns and the shooting, what was that track?
So that's Dented Grill, and it's basically an open source sample from pretty dark phone call that happened and we sort of capitalized on that, and we actually mailed the family and asked if it was okay to do it, and they were like, we don't really want to, and we're like, well, why don't we just have a little talk about it? And then they were just like, okay, I guess it can't do any harm, and we're just like, yeah. So it was we put a lot of effort into using that sample, so we reused it, and in every track I think that sample actually makes a comeback in some form or another, with the noise of the phone or
it's just because the way you said you built around a certain sound. That was
that was just like, okay, that this song is getting built around a sample.
Yes. All right. And next up is, what moment made you realise that you wanted to make this music, and what were your first steps?
I was in school and I was terrible at maths, and I was getting really frustrated by it, and I put on 9 Inch Nails, and then I got hyper focused, got good at maths, and then was like, hey, when I listen to 9 Inch Nails, I'm good at maths. And then it spiraled from there, and I was just like, well, I'm going to start making music now, because it was just such a big part of my routine. I'm like, oh, how does that work? How does this happen? And then I just sort of spiraled down from 9 Inch Nails into other forms of creating noise, and that's how it started. And it's bizarre. It's bizarre because it's the type of music I wanted to make. I was in a metal band beforehand, and it was really intense, and I wanted to make something that wasn't so intense, and it ended up being more intense. And again, it's that addictive sort of wanting to make noise and express yourself.
One of the most intense sets I've ever seen, and it was definitely in a good way.
Yeah.
All right. And then how different is your music now from when you first started out?
That's why I picked that question, related to the last question. It's the exploration of sound design and sound engineering. It has been such a unending journey. There's so much more that you can do and experiment with, and you meet a lot of people that are really good at what they do, but they're so focused on doing the one single thing. and then you introduce them to something else. It's like, oh, do you know you can build a synthesizer out of 2 mixing desks, and it's like using fucking feedback loops, and they're like, what? And you blow their mind, and then you hear them create music that sounds exactly like that. It's just like spreading knowledge that shouldn't be spread, discovering things that are wrong with sound design, and making it sound right. That's how we've expanded. It sounded terrible to begin with, and now it sounds terrible in a better way.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dino. So yeah, back onto the silly and the serious. So 7 selections. So which would you like first?
God, let's go with silly first, man. Let's do this.
All right. 1. Next one.
Serious. Silly. Serious. Yeah, we're gonna alternate. We're gonna keep on it. It's silly. Serious.
Serious and silly.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Okay. All right. So first is a silly one then. So.
This is okay.
I know, right? All right. So when you were a child, what ambitious job did you want to have one day?
Marine biologist. I can't fucking swim, and I'm terrified of open water. So that worked out fucking great, man. Yeah. So I want to look at fishies. Need to go underwater? Absolutely not. So that was quashed pretty quickly. There we go.
Enough. All right, and serious. If you could ask your future self 2 questions, what would they be? Let's say about 20 years in the future.
Can you still walk? Is your jaw still in one piece?
Important question.
Yep, yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, that's all I want to know about the future. That's all I'm really concerned about, my face falling apart and my back falling apart, so we're good.
Fair enough. Okay, so silly, if your latest music release was a book, what genre would it be, and what would the back cover read?
Horror, and do not read.
Kind of like System of a Down, still this album.
Yeah,
do not read.
Do not read. Do not read this book.
Okay. Alright, and then serious, so can you tell us about a memorable encounter with a fan that's had a lasting impact on you or the way that you make your music and perform?
Yes. Somebody got mistakenly caught in the firing line of a mic stand. It was a genuine mistake, and then they were not happy about it, and their partner was not happy about it, and they tried to strangle me. And it reminded me of an interview with someone who's in jail, and he was just like, oh, it was like tying cable ties around people's necks. That's an efficient way to go. And I wrote a song about having cable ties put around your neck, because that's what it felt like. He was not letting go. It felt like I was going to fucking die in an alleyway because a mic stand fell over on someone.
No more mic stands.
No more mic stands.
Fair enough. Alright, and then silly, if you could combine 2 animals to make an amazing new one, which animals would
no. Both of my dogs. Both of them, because they're polar opposites from each other. One of them's really calm, one of them's absolutely mental, and I would like to know what would come out of that. So 2 different animals. My dogs are 2 different animals. Despite both being dogs, they are different animals.
Pretty good answer. Okay. And a serious one, can you recall a moment performing where you had to suddenly improvise that's actually led to a permanent change in the way you perform? Other than the mic stand.
Yes, the controlled falling. The first time I did the falling down on stage from standing up, I think I knocked myself out briefly.
Oh shit.
But people were like, that looked really cool, and I was like, I think I'm gonna learn how to fall down properly. And I think we tell Alex, our technician, when I'm gonna fall down. So it's like, in these tracks I will fall to the ground and then get back up again. So yeah, that was improvised, right? Being knocked out is improvised?
Yeah, fantastic. Well, you can't get up and still sing. Have fun. Right, and then silly, so if you were a character in a game or film, what abilities or powers would you want to have?
And that's a silly one.
Yeah.
Invisibility. Sometimes I wish I could just fucking fade into a crowd and nobody would fucking look. I think we've all fucking been there.
Go there, crowd surfing, and then suddenly disappear.
I know.
Fuck everyone up.
Where is he?
All right. Perfect. And then the last question I have for you, of course, is do you have anything that you'd like to say to your fans?
Adopt a dog. Adopt a fucking dog. Don't buy a puppy. Adopt a dog.
That's probably the best answer to that question I've ever had, actually, Dino. Yeah, fantastic.
Thanks.
Well, thank you ever so much for joining me. Thank you for watching, and press the buttons. Bye.
Elektro Vox.